long-time BTT members. I saw what you wrote, Brandon. I'm having a good time watching you guys catch up with each other. I'm so glad that so many of you are becoming friends through these streams. I'm back. Like a 2-week break there because of D23 and then recovering from D23 and also lack of news stories to some degree. But the fall is upon us. It's still a little bit slow, but I managed to get 3 stories here for us to do today. And it's so nice to be chatting with you all again. Live streams are now back on their regular schedule, unless I don't see anything coming up in the next few weeks, which would change them. But that was the air conditioning turning off, Joseph. You guys are so alert and keyed in. But anyway, it should be Sundays and then Mondays through Wednesdays for the foreseeable future as usual. Also, don't forget, mark your calendar for September 17th, a Tuesday, for 7 p.m., where we're going to do another watch-along party, and that's for Spider-Man Far From Home. Happy birthday, Isaac! I'm glad that we have a stream today, and I'm glad everybody missed them. I missed you guys very much. So before we get to today's 3 stories, and then, of course, as always, 10 minutes where you may ask me anything that you would like, let's do our usual, where are you watching from? I'm on time today, too. Ho, ho, ho. It's very nice of you to wish Isaac happy birthday, Joseph. Yes, Catalin, I'm going to cover this a little bit, the Suicide Squad. I'll tell you when I think we're going to really start to get stuff on that. Brandon is sending love from Purple Heart Homes corporate headquarters in sunny Statesville, North Carolina. That's very atmospheric. I like that. Hey, Jonathan. Welcome back from school, Check Film. Fantastic. Dwayne is in a gusty but rainy Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Be careful, anyone. Also, you, Joanne, in Clearwater, Florida. Everybody be careful with the hurricane. Lloyd, I see that you're settled in for the evening. Everybody be safe. I know a lot of people are at Disney World right now. What a place to hunker down from the storm. Hi, Bruno. Oh, yes, a Downton Abbey fan. Are you excited for the movie? I can't wait. It comes out like a week early. There's a fan event that I'm going to go to so I can review it. Hugo, I'll review Marriage Story probably at some point. I'm not in a rush, to be honest with you. Mika is going to Prince Street Pizza. That sounds delicious. Mexican Nacho is in Mexico City traffic. Ethan is eating a salad at work in Phoenix. Good for you. Let's see here. Tracy is taking a break from life in Indiana. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Lloyd, Disney World is closed, but you can go to the resorts. And I know a lot of people are staying there because they have very good structures, and they have their own their own power plant, and they're very careful. Terry says it's a beautiful sunny day at Edmonton. Anthony is at Planet Fitness. Good for you, Anthony. Emilio says hello from Lima, Peru, where we miss Taika Waititi already. Aw, that's adorable. Yes, Walt Disney World is closed. I think Epcot's actually open a little bit later now because the storm seems to be veering a little bit off course. It's not going to go directly. It's not going to be as bad. But of course, we want everyone in Florida to be very safe. And out of an abundance of caution, the other theme parks have closed very early. Jack, it's your first live stream from rainy England. Greetings. It's like tea time there, right? No, it's late night for you. It's like 9 p.m. I'm glad you're able to join in. That's why I have these streams at 4. I try and make everybody be able to join in if you're on the West Coast, East Coast, or in Europe. I'm sorry for those of you in Asia. And some people in Australia can make them because it's like, I think it's a little bit early for Australia. The Sunday ones, people from Australia can join in. Zeester just woke up from a nap. Philip made it from Chicago. Lloyd, I just said that's when Epcot was closing. Okay. Sophia is back at school in New Jersey at Rutgers. Very nice school. Hope you're having a great year in front of you. All right, let's get to today's stories. All right, story number 1. Bam! Suicide Squad. The cast continues to grow. Peter Capaldi has definitely signed on. Pete Davidson is in talks for a cameo. Pete Davidson, in my mind, is actually perfect, not only for Suicide Squad, but for a James Gunn movie. So I think that's a very good idea. But there's no word yet on who's playing who. Total lockdown on that for all these new recent castings. Nathan Fillion, for instance, we have no idea who he's playing. I think they're having all these characters because they're going to kill a lot of them off. You know, one of the big problems that many of us had with the first Suicide Squad movie, which I think was a legit grievance, was that for a team called the Suicide Squad, everybody was fine, right? So it was a little hard to really, I mean, except like, I don't want to give anything away. For some reason, you haven't seen Suicide Squad, but most people made it out okay. Here, I think clearly James Gunn is setting it up so that very few people make it out alive, which I think is how the series should go. Now, I also think because they're all going to be killed off, they're not going to be named characters. I saw some speculation as to who Peter Capaldi, for instance, might be playing. I don't think he's going to play anyone who's a really big deal because, again, you're going to be killing these characters off and they won't be available anymore in the DCEU, which is why they have some really bad characters in this movie. Like, whoo! Now, it is very male heavy. I saw, I got Catalin, you're the one you pointed out to me today that there aren't enough women in this movie. We all want to see Killer Frost in there, but I think she's too expensive VFX-wise. So, of course, Harley Quinn, it seems, is returning. I'm very excited to see what the look is they give the character for this movie. I'm a little nervous about Harley Quinn because David Ayer, I think, isn't very good with female characters, and I think he had some problems with his Harley for that reason. And James Gunn, I think, has a similar problem. That's right, Anthony. Red shirts galore in this movie. Amanda Waller, though, of course, Viola Davis is returning, and I hope to see her character expanded upon. And then don't forget that Daniela Melchior has been cast as a character called Ratcatcher, who's like the Pied Piper of rats. It sounds like a horrible idea to me. I would never, ever say, let's have a character who has rats on screen all the time, but let's see, all right? And also, as I told you, as I tweeted out today, I heard some rumors, and there's a rumor going around, that Zatanna is in the movie. She might not be a member of the team. She might be someone they consult with. We don't know. But there's been a rumor going around that you might have seen that it would be a Game of Thrones actress, particularly Emilia Clarke. She would be, I think, a fantastic Zatanna. The only thing that gives me pause is that she has really killed a lot of movies. Like, for instance, she was in the last Terminator movie. I think her track record is weak, especially in this type of film. So that's the only thing I'd be nervous about. Now there's a September 11th table read. I don't know why they would do September 11th table read. I'm like, just move it back or forward today. But we should probably get a picture. But also they're going to start shooting, as I tweeted, they're going to start shooting. I said September. Apparently the rumor is September 23rd. So for them to start shooting, everybody has to have had a costume test, right? So I bet you sometime this month, we get our first look at the team in costume, which I'm very excited about. We did that for the first Suicide Squad, and I will definitely cover that in its own standalone video. But right now, two low rent actors, two low rent characters. It's a little bit too difficult to cover, too much speculation. But when we start getting pictures, and probably maybe some on location pictures, that would be pretty neat. I'm also wondering, I have that Suicide Squad logo there. I wonder if James Gunn will stick with that, with the day glow colors, like a rave. I think it worked really well for the first movie. And of course, they're continuing that with Birds of Prey. But I don't know if that's something James Gunn will want to do. I think that makes it even more like Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe it would be better if it was a little grittier, especially now with the more emphasis on the suicide portion of the team. But we will see. I think that James Gunn has a similarity a little bit to David Ayer in terms of his problems as a filmmaker, but, maybe that'll make them seem more cohesive as a set, right? Let's see. All right, so that's the first story of the day. So keep your eyes peeled, and I'll certainly show it to you when it comes out, a Suicide Squad picture. First look. All right, so Robert Pattinson, he's starting the old PR. He has a cover story in Variety because he's having a great year. Speaking of the DCEU, as you might recall, I said that Batman is scheduled to start filming in January, and so hopefully we'll have some casting announcements for that in the next month or so. But anyway, Robert Pattinson, some of you like these pictures. I think these pictures are horrible, and I think Robert Pattinson still has a little bit of an image issue. I think he's very charismatic, even more so after reading this article. This is an amazing article. I highly recommend that you read the article. It's very, very good. And it has some really good highlights in it, which I'm going to go over with you now. So Robert Pattinson, he talked about the fact that you remember we got it in chunks, right? Like the first thing they were like, oh, Robert Pattinson's going to be Batman. It's down to him and Nicholas Hoult. And then like a month or so later, he finally was cast. Well, when that first version leaked, He had not even auditioned yet, and he freaked out, and so did his team, because they worried that the negativity would get him from having a real shot at the role, which I think is really a funny story. And he said he was Googling himself constantly to try and get a read on how people were reacting all the way on his flight to promote The Lighthouse. I think it was to maybe Cannes at the time. And he said he was sitting next to Christopher McQuarrie on the plane, who was very polite and nice about it and supportive. And I'm like, what luck! Robert Pattinson sitting next to Christopher McQuarrie, and I'm sure, based on this article, was absolutely charming, and maybe we'll see him in a Christopher McQuarrie movie sometime soon. But, I was going to say, and first I wrote in my notes, what luck that Robert Pattinson has. But he makes his own luck, because he reveals in this article that it was his idea to be Batman, that he went after the role when he heard that Matt Reeves was going to be casting it. And I always tell you, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, Robert Pattinson wouldn't stop bothering Matt Reeves. And Matt Reeves was like, I haven't finished the screenplay. I can't talk to anyone about casting Batman. And Robert Pattinson would be like, okay, how about now? How about now? Is now good? And finally, it was good. So Matt Reeves, and I'm sure because he appreciated how passionate Robert Pattinson was about it, he said, okay, I'll meet you. I finished my script. Let's talk. And apparently Robert Pattinson shows up to this meeting with a notepad of ideas on how to play Batman. Wow, this guy's on fire. He really knows how to present himself. I'm very impressed. And apparently he also, one of the last things he did if he was going to see if he could get the work was, this is Variety though, not Vanity Fair, just so you guys know, Variety. So Robert Pattinson, it came out today. So Robert Pattinson apparently tried on the suit. I'm wondering if it's like the real suit or just like another version of the suit and they're going to make a new one for the movie. I'd be curious if they're that far ahead. He said he felt very powerful in it and was very transformative, and then he told some really funny stories about how embarrassing it was to have to get into it though. Such a likable guy. Now, of course, he said he found out that he got the role of Batman the day he started shooting Tenet, which of course is Christopher Nolan's movie, so I think that's fantastic. He said it's got to be fate. He also, of course, has The Lighthouse coming up. So I think that he just comes across as very likable, very realistic, and working really hard. One of my favorite things that he said in the article was he said, I have an idea of how to play maybe 4 scenes in the movie, and I'm still working on figuring out the rest. I'm like, oh, buddy, I love you. You seem just absolutely fantastic. Thank goodness he made good time. Because as he even says in the article, the backlash wasn't that bad. There were some people who were upset about it, but I think most of the people who are into Batman have been watching Robert Pattinson's newer work, and they see the transformation. And I still don't think he's an amazing actor, but I think he's a game actor, and this might work. I think he's looking to do it, and I think he's open to having a good relationship with Matt Reeves. Now, I told you I felt they're both like the B-level version of Christopher Nolan and Leonardo DiCaprio. But that's still pretty good, to be honest with you. So I feel good about this, and he just seems really like a really nice person. Very grounded. I'm curious. I think, and Joey, you're saying he's not a good fit for Batman, but he says he knows that a lot of people don't think he can do it, but, that makes him an underdog. So Warner Brothers, I'm assuming they tested him for the role, and he looks like he can do it, because they can't have another after Ben Affleck. And I thought Ben Affleck was good, but I still know people who I talk to them about it, and they're like, oh, Ben Affleck's the worst Batman. And I'm like, really? He's really the worst Batman? Don't you think his Bruce Wayne is good? And they're like, no, he's horrible. And I'm like, oh, it's so sad. He never got a fair shot. So the reason you might be like, I saw some of you talking about Kristen Stewart. I included that there because the reason I was like so close to making it its own story, but I was like, I don't want to cover this. It's clickbait. So I just wanted to touch on it and explain why. So anyway, there's an article going around, as you can see, also in Variety. It says Kristen Stewart was told she might not get a Marvel movie if she didn't stay in the closet, right? Marvel did not say that to her. That's what other stupid people said to her in the industry who were freaking out. It's stupid. Marvel is working very hard to be representative. They're doing a lot of LGBT representation coming up. That is certainly not the case. Kevin Feige, you would never say that. So I really don't like that headline for that reason. Now, as for Kristen Stewart being in the MCU, I think she should be more concerned about her acting ability. Now, I think her look is fantastic. She looks very good in Charlie's Angels. I'm saying looks. And I think she looks really good in this underwater alien ripoff movie. She looks cool. But her acting is really, really still very bad. So I'd be like, you got the look part down. I wouldn't forget about it. Keep on your toes with that. But now you can focus more on your acting, which continues to need considerable work. That's how I feel about Kristen Stewart. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Now, I was able to do a really good pivot into the third story. All right, so Jamie Dornan. Speaking of heartthrobs in these like romance movies, of course, Robert Pattinson got his big break from Twilight, and and Jamie Dornan got his from 50 Shades of Grey. And Johnny Depp started out as a heartthrob, Jude Law did, and all these people ended up becoming character actors. So, the idea is you take on this really horrible or like this really big franchise. It's maybe not what you want to do as an actor, but you get really famous, and then you can move on to do other things, right? So that's cool. But it doesn't always work out. Like Robert Pattinson has been able to do, change it up, but Jamie Dornan, I think, still struggles, as evidenced by this headline. So Emily Blunt is joining John Hamm, and then it says, Jamie Dornan in Wild Mountain Thyme. And I think, and I even saw some other versions of it where it was just Emily Blunt and John Hamm. And Jamie Dornan was like left out of it entirely. Now, Jamie Dornan is the male lead on this movie, okay? And so it's really weird that everyone would just be like, Emily Blunt, and you guys are distracting me with your comments here. Robert Pattinson didn't get his first big break in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire because he only lasted for one movie. So that was certainly a good thing for him, but Twilight was really the big deal. So anyway, Jamie Dornan is the star of this. It's a Broadway play, which was called something else. It's now being brought to the silver screen. Jamie Dornan is the lead. Emily Blunt is his romantic interest, and John Hamm plays his American cousin who wants to take his land. It reminds me, the way they describe it, of another classic Irish romance. It's an Irish story. Also Irish romance / drama, The Quiet Man, with John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. And you just have to forget about what a horrible person John Wayne was in real life. But anyway, that's a beautiful Technicolor movie. It's one of the best examples I've ever seen of Technicolor, and it's just absolutely breathtaking and very romantic, surprisingly so. So this kind of reminds me a little bit of that. I think Jamie Dornan and Emily Blunt are a little bit of an odd match. I agree with you that maybe she and John Hamm would be a better match, but still. And this Christopher Walken also stars as Jamie Dornan's father. Now, Bleecker Street is going to be distributing this in the United States, and I think that's not great. I think, Bleecker Street, I think they usually distribute really good movies, but for the most part, they don't do a very good job getting them off the ground and getting them a lot of attention. So it's almost like, why bother? This should just go to streaming. And then I think Lionsgate's doing it in the UK. But this sounds like okay, but I just thought it was interesting to compare Jamie Dornan's career and Robert Pattinson's, because they're really trying to do the same thing. Jamie Dornan also totally changed his look. He almost always has his close cropped haircut now. And, Robert Pattinson's Batman. Robert Pattinson went after it. Maybe Jamie Dornan should have gone after Batman. But I think Robert Pattinson has done better work than Jamie Dornan has since his big franchise. And I also think that the Christopher Nolan Tenet thing was a big deal. Warner Brothers is already very heavily invested in Robert Pattinson, so it helps Tenet and Batman. So Warner Brothers is very happy about that. That's right, David. Outside Mullinger is the name of that original Broadway show. In the coverage for this, they've said, that Broadway big hit. And it's like, I looked it up, it got 1 Tony nomination. It was for Best Play, to be fair, but it wasn't nominated for writing, it wasn't nominated for any acting, and that's usually a sign of a juggernaut, which is how this was billed in some of the coverage. All right, so it's 4:19. We'll talk till 4:29. You may, or 4:29, 4:30. You may ask me anything that you would like. Welcome back. No, George, I disagree, respectfully. I think first break or big break, you're really splitting hairs on that one. To movie lover, you still can't get into Joker, eh? Can't someone take you? Joanne says, will having Rob as Bruce Wayne require recasting the entire Justice League? Joanne, I would think it would. Superman, as I said, for sure. But I don't know about Wonder Woman. I like Gal Gadot so much, but she seems much older than Robert Pattinson. I'd have to see them next to each other. Augie says, is Bill Hader in It Chapter 2 Oscar worthy? No, because the film is just not good enough and he isn't given enough to do. I think it will get Bill Hader more movie work. So it will do what it needs to for Bill Hader's career. Also, it will make it watchable for you. Let's see here. Hugo says, are you surprised by the positive reviews for Dark Crystal? Not at all. As I said in my own review, if you're really into puppets, you'll be really into that show. No one's talking about it. It never once trended on Twitter, so it satisfies a small niche audience. Is it worth the investment that Netflix put into it with such a small niche audience, but who, granted, is extremely happy? We'll see. I think it depends on what kind of subscribership numbers it's driving for Netflix. That's how Netflix makes its decisions. Kevin Hart had back surgery, so it was a very serious situation, but he seems to be recovering very nicely, and I'm sure he'll be fine in time to promote Jumanji and have some crazy stories to talk about. Let's see here. Braden, I haven't seen that photo. Could you elaborate more on what you're talking about? I surely haven't done anything about Shang-Chi because it's so far off. Mika says, if Zatanna is in Suicide Squad, do you want her to have an action sequence? Oh, I would love her to. It depends what the budget of the movie is and if they can afford it. Liberty Bell says, thoughts on Dave Bautista joining the video game world? Well, good for him. He needs to get paid, and I think his movie career is not going so well. So if he can do really well in video games, I think he's a good match with that. More power to him. I think ever since, I've had a little bit of a problem with Dave Bautista. I really haven't liked the way he handled the Guardians of the Galaxy situation. But someone was saying something negative about LGBT parents, and Dave Bautista spoke up and said, my mother was a lesbian, and I think I turned out okay. And I thought that was so wonderful of him to back his mother up like that. And it gave me some insight as to what his life must have been like growing up. And I don't know. He just made him seem like a nicer, better person to me. So I kind of still like to stick it to him a little bit because of the James Gunn situation, like when his movies flop. But for the most part, I'm good with Dave Bautista. The fact that he likes and supports his mom so much, I think, is really beautiful. TJ Williams, I am excited for Titans, but they won't tell me when the screener's coming out, and it should be out by now. It should have been come out today, so I'm like, where the heck is it? Let's see here. I haven't watched the leaked Birds of Prey teaser because I want to be able to react to it if it does get released. Will there be a second trailer for The Mandalorian? I would assume so. Probably like in October or something. Spencer says, should I see It Chapter 2 on IMAX? Yeah, I always appreciate a really nice, beautiful, big screen. I think if it's fitting for the time. If it's a money issue, you could probably see it on just a regular big screen. The movie doesn't need an IMAX screen. Yusuf, My Spy has been pushed because Styx is in a lot of trouble financially. Is It Chapter 2 worth seeing? And what its Rotten Tomatoes score? Let me see what its Rotten Tomatoes score is currently. 81. Yeah, I predicted when I saw the movie that it would probably end up somewhere in the 70s, the Rotten Tomatoes score. I'm not surprised at all where it is. I think if it stays in the 80s, it would be amazing for it. It would be fantastic. I think expect it to dip into the high 70s, mid to high 70s. That's where I think it'll end up. It's worth seeing because, there hasn't been a really big movie for weeks. It's the start of the fall movie season. And I think it has enough good things in it. And I think that Bill Hader's very, very good. And I would go, but I just lower your expectations, like as low as they can get. And it's long. It feels so long. It's really long. It's 3 hours, but it feels like 3 hours. You're like, oh my God, it's a big movie, long movie. Let's see here. Dane says, is Zatanna in Suicide Squad a good or bad omen for Justice League Dark? That's a great question, Dane. I think that it could be either way, because if she's successful there, then they'll certainly usher in Justice League Dark. But Justice League Dark is such a fringe show. I mean, they have so many other movies they need to do first. It's so crazy to me. Jeff, I'm still enjoying House of X and Powers of X very much, largely because of the art and its big ideas. Let's see here. Edward says, hey Grace, have you seen the entire season of Castle Rock and what did you think of the show? I thought the show started out amazing and then I thought it got real weak at the end. Alex, I'm so excited for the Mary Poppins ride. I need to hear more about it, but I will certainly be riding it. Right now, my family is like, should we go in 2020 or 2021? We were going to go to Tokyo in 2020, but now it's the Olympics, and so it's like we could maybe go to Tokyo in the spring, but that's still pretty close to the Olympics. We're worried about construction, and also spring is not a great time for me to travel. So we might switch our Disney World trip to next year. Look at Nick with the burger and fries. I share some press screening information. You know, it depends if people are really interested in it, if I feel it's okay to talk about it. I don't tell you guys everything. I'm a little bit of a believer in the jinx, so. Another Nick says, It Chapter 2 box office for opening weekend. I think it'll definitely be over 100 million, but I'm not sure how high. Let's see what's happening with the score. Jack, I'm excited for Downton Abbey. Jack, fellow Downton Abbey fan, but I'm nervous how much I can enjoy it if it's only like an hour and a half, right? Like I want like 6 new hours of Downton Abbey. Oh, hey, John. John, we get a trailer for Wonder Woman in December. They said that's when they're going to start their ad campaign, and it'll be probably in front of Star Wars. Mexican Nacho, I do not have a screening for Hustlers. I just emailed about it today. I haven't heard back yet, though. Joey, is Shanghai Disney good? I don't know if I want to go to China, though. Mika, Bad Boys. I just found out that it's 9. Let me check. I think it's supposed to be 9. Now it's 9 Pacific, which would actually be better for me. Yeah, 9. So it's not 9. So I'll clarify it here because I don't want to tweet about it anymore. Bad Boys is coming out at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, which means I will react to it when it drops at around noon Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, Joanne. That's very sweet of you. Matt, Diane Keaton, or Goldie Hawn. That's a crazy. I think they're a tie, quite frankly. One more minute, and then I must go. Joseph says, have the Critics Academy members changed their minds about comic book movies? We don't know. This is just critics who are all giddy about seeing it at Venice super early. We just don't know. I think the Academy, if we've learned anything, it's never underestimate Disney and never underestimate the Academy. Never underestimate how much money Disney can make and never underestimate how petty the Academy can be. I will be reviewing Titans Season 2, Gabriel. I'm planning to do so on Friday if they would give me the frickin' screener. Let's see here. Waffles, what made you so stressed out? Oh, it's 4:29. All right, I must go. We shall stream tomorrow again at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Sunday, the streams will return at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, have a lovely afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.